Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, you've brought us, well, maybe the strangest combination of sources I think we've ever tackled. A super dense academic paper side by side with a Hollywood tell-all.
It's quite the pairing, isn't it? And our mission today is pretty specific. We're going deep on Professor Alistair Finchley-Smythe III, PhD. That's the Regius Professor Emeritus of Interspecies Ontological Relationality, no less, and his whole theory on the ontological nexus.
Right, but we immediately hit turbulence because this other source, Trandy Glaber's expose, basically calls the entire paper a sycophantastic pasquinade, which sounds like a fancy way of saying it's a coded insult. A seriously highbrow obloquy aimed at settling old scores in Hollywood.
That's exactly the claim. So Finchley-Smythe tries to prove that six really disparate things, we're talking fermented cheese, mud, sloths, birthday presents, volcanoes, and, well, podcast hosts. Yep, us are all just facets of this single monolithic gestalt. He even calls his own work a circuitous and superfluous journey into the heart of metachitziality, all guided by something called the Echorismic Nexus.
Okay, hold on. This is already a lot. Metachitziality, Echorismic Nexus. Maybe the best way in is to, tackle it piece by piece. We look at Finchley-Smythe's theory, then immediately see how Glaber's claims it's actually about, bad movie deals and drama.
Good plan. Let's start with the professor's big picture. His grandiloquent tableau of ontological reification rolls right off the tongue.
Doesn't it just? Okay, so he pairs things up.
Okay.
He introduces the 6 elements first.
Yeah.
Cheese is, what was it? The victualist product of zymogenic transubstantiation.
Right. Fancy word for fermented food. And mud is an ens per se of pure detritus, basically pure primordial stuff.
Then the sloth, defined by dendrobradykinesis, slow tree movement, and the volcano, a telluric behemoth, earth giant.
Exactly. So his first big idea, the cheese-mud dialectic, he calls it the rheological and zymogenic codependency.
Rheological, like flow, zymogenic, fermentation. So the flow and fermentation link between cheese and mud.
You got it. He says they're like this analogy for the whole cosmos, similar but opposite. It's a concept.
But what's the actual connection he's making? He quotes another professor, right? Fuccio Brobriges.
He does. From the turpitude of terrestrial tastes. Brobriges argues the first cheese wasn't intentional. It was a happy accident, basically. Happened in caves with a specific kind of yellow mud that had a zymogenic quality.
So fermenting mud made the first cheese.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of gross, but I see the link.
But then Finchley-Smythe uses a movie to prove his point. A B-movie called The Bloated Blob of Brie, a dairy dimension disaster from 2003.
A movie called Bloated Blob of Brie.
That's the one. He says the film's mix of killer cheese and mud, this axiomatic amalgamation of numinous terror, is the perfect illustration of his echorismic nexus. The secret force binding the universe.
Wow. Okay. Relying on Bloated Blob of Brie for universal truths. Let's move to the second pairing. The sloth gift antinomy.
Right. This one contrasts the ontological quiescence of the sloth, its deep, fundamental quietness, with the tumultuous and extravagant social construction of megamirth.
Megamirth. That's birthday gifts.
That's birthday gifts. And remember, dendrobradykinesis, slow movement in trees.
Yeah, the sloth's defining trait, according to him.
Well, he uses that slowness to explain why we give gifts. He cites Professor Flemmick B. Snood, who claims this ancient group, the Mookins, worshipped sloths.
Worshipped sloths, okay.
And they gave gifts to the sloths, hoping to absorb the sloth's placid lethargy through a form of psychotropic osmosis.
Wait. They wanted to become lazier by giving gifts to sloths through osmosis.
Sounds counterintuitive, I know. But Snood argues it's why we give gifts today. It's a vestigial instinct, a leftover urge for that sloth-like calm.
Huh. Okay. And the movie proved.
Sloths of the Saturnalia, a somnolent scourge from space, 1993. Apparently, the slow-moving alien commander, Ziax, wants Earth as his birthday gift.
Naturally. And another professor, Bartholomew Hornstroker, called this film a panegyric of profound listlessness, a celebration of being incredibly lazy.
You're getting the hang of this. Okay, final pair. The volcano podcaster Syzygy.
Syzygy, like an alignment. A subterranean syzygy, he calls it. Between the volcano's telluric travail, its earthly struggle, and the host's loquacious turpitude.
Yeah, or a charming quality. The volcano represents Earth's primal speech, magma bursts. The podcast host, modern equivalent, a master of verbal flotsam and garrulous epigrass kitsch.
Garrulous epigrass kitsch. I need to remember that one. So idle chatter, basically, and the connection. Someone named Professor Boosie H. Clinkers claims the first podcast was only about volcanoes.
That's the claim. Extremely specific, isn't it?
Wildly specific. And the film that proves this earth-shattering link?
Flibbert and his Ducks versus the Lava, 2007. An aspiring host, Flibbert Z. Squirch, broadcasts jejune monologues, childish ramblings to his pet ducks. From his mom's basement, apparently, he's totally unaware of an erupting volcano nearby.
And let me guess, the ducks save him.
The ducks lead him away from the lava, and then he uses his podcast gear to somehow save the town. It's quite a story.
So that's the professor's grand theory. Cheese, mud, sloths, gifts, volcanoes, podcasters, all connected through B-movies and impenetrable jargon.
Pretty much. He's woven this intricate tapestry of decay, laziness, gift-giving, talking, and geology.
Right. But this is where Trandy Glabbers throws a massive wrench in the works. Glabbers says Finchley Smythe didn't just find these obscure movies.
No. Glabbers claims he picked them very, very carefully, because each one represents a huge disaster, financial, personal, romantic, for two rival Hollywood production companies, Fickle and Mook Inc. and Snoot Wobbler Films.
So the whole academic paper, Glabbers is saying it's not philosophy at all, it's a hit piece. A meticulously researched, coded magnum opus using academic language to settle scores.
That's precisely the argument. Finchley Smythe isn't a philosopher exploring the cosmos. He's acting as a sort of literary assassin for hire, using his academic credentials as cover.
Okay, let's go back through the pairings of that lens. Cheese-mud dialectic. The bloated blob of brie. Glabbers says the feud started right there.
Yep. Says the whole cheese-mud dialectic isn't about the cosmos. It's a metaphor for a reological mess of a backroom deal that went sour during that film's production.
A messy deal.
Okay.
And the details.
Glabbers lays it out. The director, Bartholomew Hornstroker, remember him, was constantly fighting with the star, Quintina Quiddles.
And Hornstroker called her the very embodiment of dendrobradykinesis. Slow-moving in a tree.
Exactly. Glabbers claims it was code because she was notoriously slow and lazy on set. That's the first layer.
Okay, petty, but makes sense. What else?
Oh, it gets juicier. Quintina was apparently having an affair with her co-star, Zebediah Fusterbunk.
Standard Hollywood stuff, me.
Oh, but wait, Fusterbunk was also secretly involved with the studio's dactylioglyph.
Dactylioglyph? What on earth is that?
It's a soupy, obscure word for an engraver, but Glaber says in this context it meant the graphic designer, Kismo Yapfarkel, who designed the studio logo.
Okay, so Fusterbunk is involved with the lead actress and the logo designer. Messy.
And here's the kicker. Zebediah and Kismo then absquatulated, another great word Finchley Smythe uses.
Meaning they ran off?
They ran off with the entire film budget to start their own rival company, Snoot Wobbler Films.
No way.
Yes way. So according to Glabbers, when Finchley Smythe writes about the mutagenic amalgamate of sentient cheese and mud representing cosmic terror,
he's actually describing Zebediah and Kismo's dodgy, fraudulent, malafide partnership that tanked the movie and Fickle and Mook Inc.
That's the explosive claim. The academic jargon is a direct, coded insult about their business ethics or lack thereof.
Wow. Okay, using dendrobradykinesis for a lazy actress is one thing. This is next-level academic revenge.
It really is something. So let's apply this to the sloth gift antinomy, the movie Sloths of the Saturnalia. Glaber says it wasn't just listless, it was a financial black hole. A monster sacerlophobism of epic failure.
And the slothful zeitgeist Finchley Smythe talks about.
Glabbers claims it refers to the actual, real-life laziness, the hebetudist quality of the screenwriter Timmy McGeekles. Apparently his script was just garbage, a series of non sequiturs.
Okay, so the sloth metaphor wasn't about ancient Mookins, it was about a bad writer.
Yeah.
What about the gift part? The tumultuous and extravagant social construction of megamirth.
That, Glabbers pins directly on the lead actor, Flibby Plucker. Specifically, his pro-mirth and profligate, meaning excessive and wasteful 30th birthday party.
Let me guess. The studio paid.
Glaber says they have the receipts. The party practically bankrupted Fickle and Mook. It was legendary for its wastefulness.
Unbelievable. And the whole psychotropic osmosis thing, wanting sloth-like lethargy.
Glaber interprets that as a direct jab at the entire cast and crew after the film bombed and the party scandal broke. Their careers basically stalled out. Their peripatetic pugnacity, their drive, their fight just evaporated.
So the desire for lethargy wasn't philosophical. It was a sarcastic comment on their collective career nosedive after blowing all the studio's money on a party.
That's the reading. The academic language becomes this incredibly specific, itemized list of who ruined the project and how.
Okay, this is making a bizarre kind of sense now. Let's do the last one. Volcano podcaster Syzygy. Flibbert and his ducks versus the lava.
According to Glabbers, this whole section is just a thinly veiled, deeply personal attack on one specific producer, Rusty Clinkers.
Rusty Clinkers?
Yeah.
Any relation to Professor Boosie H. Clinkers, who supposedly knew about the first Volcano podcast?
Glabbers implies a connection, maybe family, maybe just Finchley Smythe being extra pointed. But Rusty Clinkers is described using Finchley Smythe's terms, a ramshackler of verbal flotsam, a human cacophonodiscalation.
Human. Noise pollution. Ouch. So the volcano's caloric travail, its eruption.
Glabbers says that's the film's budget, exploding. A massive effusion of red ink, all thanks to Clinkers making terrible, impulsive decisions. The primeval oration of the magma isn't the earth speaking, it's the sound of money burning spectacularly.
Okay. And Flibbert, the podcaster, talking nonsense to his ducks.
That's Rusty Clinkers himself, apparently. Glabbers alleges Clinkers was obsessed with recording himself on some kind of early proto-podcast device, just rambling, jejune monologues.
And he made people listen.
Forced his staff, his lackeys, to listen for hours. Glabbers claims Finchley Smythe, using the term garrulous epigrass kitsch, wasn't about podcasters in general. It was a direct hit on Clinkers' specific brand of annoying, pointless chatter.
And the ducks. Quackers and friends. Don't tell me the ducks are real.
Not real ducks saving the day, but Glabbers quotes a gongoozler, an idle onlooker who was on set. Yeah. This person said everyone viewed Clinkers' actual obsession with his own pet ducks as, well, a paraphyletic extension of his own narcissism.
So the heroic ducks in the film are a coded reference to the producer's narcissistic attachment to his real pets.
That's the assertion. The entire philosophical framework maps perfectly onto petty Hollywood grievances, financial ruin, and massive egos.
Right. So we've got Finchley Smythe's version, a deep interconnected theory where cheese reflects volcanoes, sloths prefigure podcasters, mud is the basis of everything. It all links up through the Echorismic Nexus. It sounds profound, if utterly bizarre.
He weaves it together quite masterfully, using the jargon and the films. He concludes that the zymosynthetic process, the fermentation in cheese, mirrors Earth's volcanic heat, and the sloth's slow stretching, its quiescent pandiculation, is the ancient ancestor of the podcast host's rambling. Mud binds it all. A kismatoria, he calls it, destiny revealed.
But then Glabbers comes along and shows how every single piece of that intricate puzzle, every odd word choice, every obscure B-movie lines up perfectly with specific people, specific scandals, specific financial disasters in Hollywood.
Exactly. The language Finchley Smythe uses, words like obnubila gregatious, cloudy, complex, absquatulate, to leave abruptly, maleficent, in bad faith. They work on the philosophical level, sure.
But they also work perfectly to describe, well, shady deals, people running off with money, and general bad behavior.
It's kind of brilliant in a twisted way. We're left with these two completely different, yet weirdly parallel realities. Is it a diachistodecahedral gestalt of ontological reification, a complex universal structure?
Or is it just an incredibly elaborate academic magnum opus, a grand insult designed to air dirty laundry from 30 years ago?
And the fascinating thing is, as you said, maybe it's both. The mud is primal matter, and it's the muck of a bad business deal. The sloth is ontological quietness, and it's a lazy actor. The volcano is Earth's power, and it's an exploding budget.
It's a never-ending colloquium of discordant cacophony, as Finchley Smythe might say, or as Glabbers might put it, just another Tuesday in Hollywood, documented with a PhD.
Whether you think reality is governed by the Echorismic Nexus or by the fallout from a disastrous birthday party, the mechanisms driving it all, decay, inertia, greed, ego, they seem remarkably similar, don't they?
Which leaves us, and you, with the final thought. If academic scholarship, this deep philosophical dive, can simultaneously be a profound universal theory and a deeply personal, viciously coded attack, how can you ever be sure what you're really reading? How do you corrad the farrago, scrape away the nonsense, and behold the multivicientia, see the true, many-layered knowledge? What profound truth might you be missing right now because the language used to express it is actually just the language of really, really well-educated spite?